Hello everyone and welcome back to another preview video, this time around for the pretty big patch that is going to come with the Durine and 17 cards tank core divisions that are going to be added to the game, getting us one step closer to Southag full release. We still wait for army generals to be around for the full release of the DLC on its own, but all the expansion pass owners will have access to it with the patch. But there's also a lot of other stuff with it, a lot of balance changes. 8 new maps in the map pool for 1v1, which is amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. Chandra, uh, Surrounded, Eiche, Thaler, and Co. all gonna get added. You will see a list on the screen right now with all the maps. So, rank pool will be big. They will have us vote later on about which maps to remove for the next season, and then they will, in the future, add more maps again. But yeah, really hyped for that. Most of the maps are pretty good. A couple of them are a bit weird, so we're gonna see about them. But the rest is really good. Really hyped for that. There are some big bug fixes as well, as we have a bug fix coming along for the self-killing of AA and ATGMs. They no longer shoot themselves or other units close by. The Tulipan now fires the right way around. Some of the special forces units now that had either lacked the special forces veterancy changes or had them and shouldn't have had them with some of the ATGM teams from the checks. They lost or gained them. The crab got them, for example. Then another bigger change is to all the drones, the fast drones. They went from 800 to 500 kmh, so they're still a good bit faster than the others, but not as lightning speed anymore. Plus, they reduced the hidden ECM, or like hidden chance of these getting hit from, I think it's 40 for slow drones, and for these now it's 20. So it's easier to kill them. They are not as fast. They are a bit more agile though, so they're still having they now are a bit easier to control, which should be nice. Players will no longer be kicked from multiplayer when calling in too many reinforcements at once. So the T-34 just calling them all out at once that crashed your 10v10s, that should be fixed. And there are also some improvements for the AI, which is really nice as well. They will make better use of roads in single player, so they also keep on working on the AI. Really important things there. Plus some smaller ones like reducing the black screen that comes up when you boot the game after the intro video and all of that. So yeah, a lot of small nice changes all around there. And that brings us to the changes for individual nations. And as always, we're gonna start with the US. And we're gonna start with a key one here, as the M1 IP is now one of the 230 points. We will get the CP next patch. We forgot that. I'm the one who made the mistake there. So yeah, M1 IP CP still a bit too expensive. M1 IP Abrams though now 230 points. Nice buff for all the 3 divisions that have it, as they all could use some slight buff there. In general, some nice changes here to the US. And then next is in the helicopter tab. The Rocket Apache went down from 180 to 165 points. Might be worthwhile now again. At 180, with how many nerfs helicopter got over the time, it just wasn't that strong anymore. Like, they went from 10 to 8 hit points, their armor got reduced, and so on. So, it was overpriced at that point. 165 is closer to where it should be. Maybe still slightly overpriced, but we will have to see how it plays out. So, that is going to be quite nice. And then, the much bigger helicopter change, and that is for all most nations. We will go over each helicopter that got those buffs, but a lot of transport helicopters got cheaper. I think that is going to be really, really helpful. We have the UE here going from 40 to 35, as it is the slowest transport helicopter. So not much faster than road transport often, with having to start and to land. And that's the 2 MGs are not that big of a firepower, with this thing also being relatively easy to kill. So it went from 40 to 35 points. Blackhawk went from 60 to 50 points. So that is quite nice as well. And the Chinook, the Chinook with the minigun, went from 65 to 60 point. So the normal Chinook stays at 50 because that one was already priced fairly correctly with 10 percent ECM, 10 hit points, relatively fast, and so on. But yeah, the Blackhawk now has the MGs but has fewer hit points of being the same price. And that should make those units that come in these transports a lot more usable. We don't see them that often at the moment. Like helicopter transport infantry is not a big thing in the game, and it should be helpful for especially the divisions that are a bit lighter and that can't bring these units around to get them. Maybe also be worthwhile to keep these units around now, because you don't invest super much into them, so that you have to sell them, and then you can maybe use them for transport units again. And yeah, that is really nice. On the same thing, the Green Beret ODA that come in the MH47D, they went up to 4 availability. So 101st got the M1IP buff, got the reduction of the helicopter price buff, which 101st has a lot of them, and then the ODA base availability went from 3.2 to 4.2. So you get more Green Beret ODA on the card, and you can use them with the helicopter a bit more and have more special forces around. The M2HB, the one that here now has the normal speed, which is the one that also can fire out helicopters, now has 18 speed. And then we have a couple of other price changes. The M119 artillery going down to 65 points from 75 points. So nice small buff here. The military police Humvee, the Humvee MP that is here. Yeah, that went down to 25 points, just like other military police transports with an MG. And the Avenger went down in price as well. So the US here, those two went down 10 points each, 105 to 95 points, and 110 to 100 points for the airborne one. So nice buff here, 2/9 US and 82nd Airborne. And yeah, making airborne division and lighter divisions in general a bit nicer to get them around. And then on top of this Civi, the the second unit got now Jeep transports that are a bit faster than the M35 transport in 35 US. So you can rotate them around a bit easier, which with the second trait is pretty important. So yeah, this is it for the US. Quite a couple of changes, mostly buffs. Oh yeah, I forgot one nerf, but it's pretty uh, pretty unimportant anyways, because yeah, the intruder napalm went up to 230 points, but as long as napalm is bugged, nobody cares about napalm anyway. So it's in a better spot compared to other napalm units, but all napalm units are currently useless, so don't use them. That brings us to the United Kingdom, where in the tank tab we have the Warrior Pleak at 65 points now, where it should be, because it is really a side grade to the BMP2. I would even argue it's a bit better, having more pen, but lower range on the ATGM, and having better side armor with similar gun and MG, and higher speed here as well for the Warrior Pleak, so it should be 65 points as well. It also makes sense compared to the normal Warrior Milan, as you get the better frontal armor, side armor, and a way better ATGM. So having that being 15 points makes sense as well. And then we have a transport helicopter here with the Gazelle LBH one that now costs 30 points instead of 35 points. So that makes sense as well, and one of those changes here. Next, West Germany, where we have the UE going down to 35 points. So all the UE transport infantry a bit cheaper. The recon drone went to 500 kmh, as we talked about. The Gebirgsjäger Scharfschützen, as they are not Hochgebirgsjäger Scharfschützen, lost their special forces. So they're still mountaineer, they're still sniper, but they lost special forces. So they're not absolute monsters anymore. A bit unfortunate, but yeah, it is what it is. And then we have the M109G, which is the new little howitzer with the short barrel. This now has smoke launchers and better reload. But an increased reload time of 62 seconds. Okay. I'm not quite sure why that is, but yeah, this is what it is. At the same time, a small buff here to this division with the Unimog FK20 now having 9 base availability instead of 6, so you can get a bit more of these gun AA, especially helpful against helicopter divisions. Against aircraft, this is obviously not that useful anyway. And then a way more important buff to first Luftlande's AA capabilities. And for that we have to look into first Luftland itself, is that the F4F AA2 now comes with 1 level of base veterancy. So you get to add the 2 vet here, which gives them better aim time, better accuracy on the missiles, and also evasive maneuver plus 8%, which is kind of like ECM. So they are harder to hit, they hit better, and they are also more stress resilient, so that they don't get pushed back as quickly by enemy AA. So this is a nice buff to the F4F AA2, and with 2 cards of these, the air-to-air fights here now with this division should be a lot better on these guys. So yeah, the struggles of First Luftlande softened nicely. Territorialkommando Süd got new units. That is always nice when Eugen thinks about the old divisions and has a heart for them. And yeah, we can have a look in First Luftlande here as well at TKS. And they are nice units. Like, the important one is this one, Aero Eclairs, coming around with GSR trade. Have the Overland ANF with the little MG here as an option as well. And the unit itself as a GSR, really, really not helpful. Issue in this deck is that your slots are so costly that, and you already have great units of the Fortune Mega B1 with the MX-10RC, with the Gazelle Cannon, that fitting in the GSR unit won't be easy, but it's a great addition to the roster nonetheless. Having GSR is really powerful. And then in the tank tab, we now have the Overland AA3 Milan, which is a Milan 2 Jeep, and it can come in a Super Puma as well. So, bit of helicopter transport memes here that can be brought up with these. And you now have the forward deploy Milan 2 truck here with mediocre, and this one with good stealth, depending on what you want. So that is a nice little addition as well that I could see myself playing a couple of times here for sure. There is a reason to put this in the deck. No infantry unit here outside of this for this deck, but 2 new units for this is quite nice. And yeah, they lost the P4 Milan, but yeah, the Overland here with the Super Puma. The Super Puma, I could see doing some memes there. And I like that they enable the meme without forcing you on it. So that is quite nice. That brings us to the French in general, as they have a couple of changes as well. And yeah, we see the CL-89 drone and their numbers changed. Important change to the French is to the Mirage 2000C, which now costs 210 instead of 230 points. Nice buff to TKS 11th and 6th, as this thing was just a bit overpriced compared to F-16s or MiG-29s, as the missiles aren't the strongest. It has great agility, speed is normal, 30% ECM is nice, but the missiles aren't the strongest, so it makes sense to have it at 210. And then we also have a price decrease to the Mirage F1C 200, which went from 200 to 185 points. Same issue with weak missiles. The missiles even weaker here with the low accuracy, shorter range, long range missiles. 20% ECM. Fast, that's the nice thing about the Mirage F1C, but the missiles itself and so on didn't really warrant it. And then now it's at the same price point as a F4 Phantom, and that's more manageable. I think the Phantom is still the best, one of the best planes in the game, so it's still weaker here, but closer now, and at a fairer price point here. 11th power should really be helped a lot by these 2 buffs, and the other divisions that have these units will be slightly helped in their air-to-air capabilities. At the same time, we have the MX-13 with the 50 cal going up to 25 points. So yeah, this is in 5th, and now in Durine, as it has 3 frontal armor, more than M113 or so. So yeah, 25 points, here it is. Still has a 50 cal. Yeah, decent speed for these guys. So kind of makes sense. You ignored them in 5th Blinde. In Durine you won't. Could have maybe stayed at 20 points to help Durine a bit out, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll have to push them back down to 20, but they would be the best transport at 20 points with a 50 cal. So just from a unit to unit balance, this makes sense. And then we had some changes to the new 6 French division. They now have access to a TRM 2000, allowing them to have a small truck. Before they only had big 1500 or Kangaroo here. Now you have a 30-point truck, making it a bit easier to split up your supply and buy it in small increments. So that should be something you take. And then 11th Para got a new unit as well. As we have to have a look at 11th Para, the French down here. As they got their Para Éclaireur decreased from 2 to 1 cards. And we now have a Para Hussard instead, which can come in VLRA. And these are a big squad with Apilas, with a sniper rifle, ANF. So 11th Para really back into action. These units are from the upcoming Army Generals, and Eugen was, as 11th Para is fielded there, Eugen decided to give a bit of a cleanup here to this division in general. We got the Erics already last time, so 11th Para really having a little glow up here. You get the P4 AANF here as an option as well for the Para Éclaireurs, so that is quite nice. And you also have a 105mm artillery piece here now that I think replaced one of the previous artillery piece that was here. But yeah, normal 105mm artillery, nothing super special there. Yeah, it replaced the non-forward deploy one, so this one now has forward deployment. So yeah, nice there. And then for the 152nd, the Gendarme de l'Air got now the transport option as well of a military police unit. So you can take them in military police unit to help out with all the reservists if you want to. Netherlands only got a small nerf, as 155mm artillery pieces in general got a bit of a price fix over the board. So when we have a look at the Netherlands, their 155mm artillery piece here, that went up 5 points, as it was just a bit too cheap and cost efficient there. So as you have M110s in that division, you didn't really use them all that much already, but with 3 rounds per minute, 14 kilometers, 90 points compared to like 105mm or 120mm artillery, it was just pretty insane. So now it's up to 95 points. And then Canada has a lot of changes, has a couple of nerfs, has a couple of buffs. Important buff to the Cougar. Cougar now 45 points, and mediocre stealth even in the tank tab. The Recon one went from 55 to 50 points, so the Cougar now a viable option in my eyes, especially for a bit of ambush play, but in general just as a quick and fast reinforcement units. So those are the buffs. Now we come to some nerfs. Artillery, a similar thing with their 155mm, that went up 5 points, as it was just too cost efficient. Same thing as the Dutch. And then in the air tab, we have some nerfs to their F-188s. The HE one went up from 265 points to 200, to 275 points. And the cluster one from 265 to 280 points. So these two getting a decent price nerf and going up there. At the same time, Ito now has the same availability as an Underdex. And in the AA tab, the transport for the blowpipes, I guess that shows up here. No, yeah, it does. Now goes 60 kilometers off-road, as other COCVs do as well. So a small buff to the blowpipe one, which actually is pretty decent. So in general, plus the drone nerf, so this now goes 500. Some small nerfs here to the air tap of the Canadians, making it a bit less cost efficient, and you have to save up a bit more to get all the spam out. Yeah, we'll see how this keeps up. Another small nerf here to the AT helicopter, or actually quite big, 100 to 125 points, so you can't just bring this around early on and just delete the whole columns for free. Like, you have to deal a bit more damage. The firepower is still the same, but this thing can shred lightly armored columns in no time, so having the price a bit increased there for its strong capabilities made sense. And yeah, it's at 125 points now. Spain, a couple of changes there all around as well, especially some name changes. So we're not going to cover all of that. You will be able to read that around. But first of all, helicopter, the UE for them went down to 35 points as well. Their F-16, the F-18 AT, the C-15 AT, went up to 265 points from 255 points. So that went up. This helicopter here now is at 195 points, as it is a BO 105, and that's what the speed is in the German service as well. So yeah, 195 points here makes sense. And then we have a couple of other changes. The BMR with the mortar now has smoke. It's a bit finicky to how to use these smoke launchers. You have to press B really close to your unit to get the smoke launchers to work. But yeah, you have them now. The Tor luck went up to 30 points. So this one from 25 to 30 points. I think this is not a good change. But yeah, we'll see how that goes around. And yeah, this is about it for this division. So yeah, that's about it for these guys, and that brings us over to the pack side. No change to the Belgians in this one. And here we have a really important nerf that affects all three pack nations. As we have to look at the BMP1, and that one, the base one with the Malyutka, went up to 30 points. The East German ones that has smoke went from 30 to 35 points. So no more endless wave of Motostrelci or Polish, what are they called again? The Pichota Smack with endless BMP ones for 25 points. The cost efficiency of that, especially if you compare it to APCs, was just completely stupid. Even compared to other IFVs, you could get 2 or 3 of them per card, compared to a little IV on the other side. So that for sure had to be nerfed, and it got nerfed now. We have a lot of price changes for the better as well, though. So let's have a look there. Helicopters. We have the Mi-8 MTV rocket and the Mi-8 rockets, the transport ones, which come around here, going down in price. This one here went from 120 to 110. This one went from 100 to 95 points. The normal Mi-8 went from 45 to 40 points, so transport helicopters all around getting a bit cheaper. And the Mi-24D Dejant, which is a transport Dejant for some recon and infantry tab units as well, went from 120 to 115 points as well. So the recon helicopter game a bit more interesting. We have another helicopter that got its price increased, but that is because it got the second trait, the Mi-8 MTPI now has the second trait as a helicopter. So yeah, went up in price. And then we have a couple of price changes to the artillery tab as well, where their big artillery guns got a bit cheaper for the most part. First of all, the BS3 went from 100 points, which was just wild, to 60 points, where it's going to be interesting to use. Can be used as a makeshift AT gun as well, and has 20 kilometers range, so it's decently accurate. And yeah, for 60 points, this could be interesting now. We have Then the bigger guns, the D1, that one went from 80 to 85 points. It was just really underpriced. It has really low range, but it's still a 152mm artillery piece, so 85 points makes sense. But we have the Giacinth going down 10 points from 125 to 115 in 27th. It has only 3 rounds per minute. It's not outloaded like the Giacinth S on the self-propelled version. And then we also have the D20 going down from 115 to 105 points. So this one is a decent bit more efficient in 39th and 6. And the Mazda the Amstar B152 went from 120 to 110 points. So the artillery guns here, the towed ones for the Soviets, going down in price decently all around the board. And then we also have a... Oh, that wasn't supposed to be the case. Well, the Red Redka BMP-1P went down to 40 points. That was supposed to be for the East German one, as this one actually was fine at 45 points, was even already really efficient at 45 points, so... Okay, this BMP-1 actually got really nice for the Fagot. Yeah, the East German one doesn't have smoke, so it should be cheaper than this one. I guess they both got the price increase because somehow they are connected. And then we also have the BTR 70D, which is only in 56. Now costs the same as a normal BTR 70. So it has the extra side armor, and now it costs you no extra price for it. It's not amphibious, so that's, I guess, the trade-off. And this one only costs you 30 points now. Plus the GTMU with the SPG-9 now at 25 points here for 56 as well. So small buffs there to this division. And then in 157th, the Ushleania can come in the UWATS Commandantura now as well. So you have some military police vehicle there too. East Germany, we talked about the BMP-1. And then in the tank tab, T-34 now has 10 hit points, making the T-34 somewhat worthwhile. The recon, the transport helicopters here in this deck also getting cheaper. Mi-8 and the Mi-8T rocket transport. Mi-8TV rocket 1 got cheaper from 195 points as well. So that one, they're a bit cheaper as well. So the helicopters here, a bit buffed. Another helicopter that got buffed in this division, in this nation, is the Aufklärungs Mi-8TB in Rügener. That got the second trade for free, no price change here. So you can use it as a second helicopter next to being a very good recon with fire support. Can be quite interesting, especially in the opener, to see where the enemy is at. Yeah, flying that around. So second is a bit more across the board now. Soviets have a helicopter now. The Czechoslovaks have a helicopter. The Americans, the East Germans, the Polish as well. So that you can toy around with this a bit more. Really nice to see this coming around. Then we have the Recon BMP-1 here. They're going down to 40 points as well, as it should be, because no smoke on this one, and it has the Malyutka, not the Fagot and smoke. And then we have some small airplane buffs here coming around as well, with the MiG-21, MiG-23 cluster going down to 200 points in 4th. The Napalm one going down to 190. But a small nerf to the Su-22 with the AT, the KH-29s. That one went up to 230 points in all nations that have it. So the AT plane here, not as efficient anymore as at destroying things and getting around there. So yeah, small nerf there. MiG-21 BIS cluster. now uses the 250 kilogram bombs and no longer uses 500 kilogram bombs, so that got nerfed a bit as well. I still think it should kill tanks reliably with double one of these, but I guess that's a bit of a change there as well. Poland, we can have a look as well. BMP-1s got increased, the transport helicopters got reduced. Here it's also the V3 Sokol. The Sokol got buffed as well there. The other Sokol, the AA one, down here, got buffed as well. It now has 3 base availability, like the Mistral Gazelles and other AA helicopters. This one now has 3 base availability, so that's a nice buff to Corpus. And the SU-22 series got price increased here as well, so that's a nerf as well. The Deshant Ross Specialny is supposed to go down in availability. It says in the patch log, but I don't believe it did. So that might be... Yeah, no, the Ross Specialny still at 6 base availability. This is supposed to go to 4 base availability as well. So that hasn't happened yet. But that's supposed to come there eventually. Dana went up in price. It's now 230 points, similar to other autoloader ones. It has lower range, but it is faster, and it can move around with that speed. So Dana now at 230 points. And then we have a couple of changes to Corpus, as Corpus got its buff in the tank tab, where one of its 3 cost... that's not Corpus. One of its 3 cost tank slots went down to 1 cost, and it also now got an HE Mech 21. That is a nice addition, because it didn't have a light HE bomber here before, so having a Mech 21 HE is a really big help. And yeah, having 1-1-2-3 now instead of 1-2-3-3-3 will help out with building the deck a bit as well. And the artillery tab here, this one now has 1 base veterancy on the artillery, so that's could be interesting as well. Having 2 at 2 vet with low aim time and so on, that should help out Corpus Dejantovi decently as well. That brings us to the last nation, Czechoslovaks, where we have the T-34 health buffs, we have the BMP or BMP-1 price increase. We also have some small buffs. The T-72S now at 240 points, similar to its counterparts. So yeah, 240 points there, like the T-72B. The helicopter tab units got price buffed as well. The transport one, 95, 40 here. So those are some nice buffs there as well. At the same time, the L39ZO HE went from 50 to 60 points, as that was just maybe a bit too cheap for a spam bomber. But on the other side, a lot of the MiG-23s here, like the cluster, the napalm, and the HE, all going down in price. So napalm even 30 points, 20 points for the cluster from 220 to 200. And for the HE, it went from 230 to 220. SU-22 went up in price, the AT-1 to 230 points. So, but the Rocket 2-1 in 303, that went from 250 to 220, and base availability increased from 2 to 3. So 303 there, getting a pretty efficient rocket plane now. And that should be interesting. We also have some base availability for the Zenista, which are in the infantry tab. For these guys went from 8 to 10, so that is interesting. They are in all the Czech divisions. So yeah, you get now a lot of engineers. I feel like 9 would have been better, but 10 is interesting. At the same time, the Motostrelci went from 35 to 40 points, so yeah, they have double MG and all. They should be there. So the BMP-1 spam of the Czechoslovaks not as busted anymore. Dana went up in price. Their 152mm towed artillery piece, which I believe is here. Yeah, this one went down in price, so this is 100 points now. So buff to 303. The Danas in the other divisions got nerfed to 230, just like the Polish one. And then we have a couple of other buffs for some transports. The OT 64 with the normal one here with only the Dushka went to 25 points, same as the Polish. So the motorized force is a bit better. And the OT62B, which is the one with one of these recoilless rifles, now went to 25 points. So 303 there, having a bit of a better option as well as transport. So that should be helpful. And then we have the 100mm AT gun, which is in the tank tab for the Czechs. This one here now at 75 points. And yeah, dealing more damage. Being more efficient at being an artillery piece and an anti-tank gun. And now maybe being worth bringing as the dual purpose unit that you can bring it around. And the Yuatstai, which is the military police one, went down to 20 points from 25 points because it doesn't have a gun or anything. So yeah, same as the bigger transport now. So this is all, or no, the bigger one actually went down in price. Yeah, it's slower, has more hit points. So that's the trade-off there. So yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Was quite the big patch. As I said, surprised for how big it was for the small time we had. I think the big amount of new maps in the map pool is going to be the biggest thing for me, but all the other small buffs and nerfs are quite interesting. I'm really interested to see how the airborne or the helicopter plays will change. BMP-1s being nerfed is lovely for the meta and my eyes as well. They were just a bit too dominant, all those mech divisions just spamming them out. And yeah, in general, cheaper towed artillery for the Soviets gonna be interesting. So, stuff like that. So I'm quite excited for this. The bug fix is all pretty important as well. Better AI, always great too. So let me know down below what you think of this, and see you all in the next one.